welcome to Empowered Endeavors. This is the new podcast that cuts through the noise, is empowering voices, and amplifying impact. This is the place where business strategy and purpose come together to turn your passion into a platform and ideas into influence so you can create real impact. Hello, I'm your host, Shaunna Lee, best-selling author of So You're Divorced, So What? And consultant for executive thought leaders, purpose-driven entrepreneurs, and aspiring storytellers. If you are ready to drop the fear, banish self-doubt, and eliminate technical overwhelm, you are in the right place. We are transforming burned-out professionals into purpose-driven powerhouses. So remember, your voice matters, your story matters, and the world needs to hear it. So today, guys, I am unveiling an exciting new chapter for the show, but also for you. So I want to dive in today to why I'm evolving the podcast, what you can expect moving forward, and how it is designed to help you amplify your impact. So first, why the rebrand? You've noticed the name has changed. So instead of Start Again with Shaunna Lee, we are now known as Empowered Endeavors, business strategy for the purpose-driven. You all are familiar with my story, how I started out as a corporate single mom, turned into building a brand and a business around women's empowerment. I wrote this best-selling book and started this podcast designed to talk all about these start again moments. The start again moments that I am very familiar with and that you are also familiar with. Along the way, I created my signature framework, the Brilliance Pathway. And what I have aspired to do with this podcast is be the example for you of what imperfect action looks like. And we have successfully done that together. I wanted to also be this example for you to learn as you go. So jumping in and starting is the hardest part. Showing up is the hardest part. And then once you get the momentum going, you learn, you grow, you evolve, and you get better. So this podcast was also a living example of that. And then, as you've heard me say many, many times, you get to change your mind. And I have changed my mind. So I've honed in on more specifically who I'm talking to, changed the title of the podcast to really encompass what it is that we are doing together. And from there, a new mission was born. So when I look back at all of the people, the different careers, brands, or industries that resonate with me, that I admire, they all have one thing in common. And that is this intersection between a smart business strategy and purpose. Being able to align your passion, your purpose in life to the right business strategy allows you to financially be free, to financially be rewarded, but also live a life that is the most fulfilling that it can possibly be. And when we can do those two things at the same time, we create the happiest people. And so that is what we're doing together. So who is this podcast for? I told you that I had honed in more specifically on who it is that I'm talking to. And really and truly, it is for those of you who are burned out. You're tired from the hustle. You're ready for more meaning in your life. You're ready to align with your purpose so that you can have a greater impact and you can have more fulfillment. So this is for the professionals who are still in corporate. This is for the thought leaders in your industry. This is for aspiring storytellers, people who have a story to tell, people who have a voice that needs to be heard, and you're ready to break free from the work-life balance into financial freedom. So first up, we are going to address the podcast series. So for the next few episodes, I will be talking about podcasting specifically and how that can be used as a business strategy to, one, align with your purpose, but two, bring you an extra source of income. So next week specifically, we're going to break down why now is the best time to start a podcast. So listen, even if you're late to the game, it is an amazing time right now in the world that we're living in to start your own podcast. You know, when we look around in social media specifically, there's a lot of people who are concerned with and feeling very censored by what they are allowed to say, by what the algorithm will pick up. And podcasting is a little bit different. You're not censored. It's your show. It's your platform to say what it is you have to say without being censored. And what I've noticed now more than ever is people needing to feel connected. And one of the best ways that we can do that, and what I have found with this podcast specifically, is that your voice matters. And the more you share your story, the more connected we all feel. Podcasting is also a perfect way to create a new income stream. So I will not be the one to tell you that podcasting is going to be the fast forward path to replacing your full-time income. However, I will tell you that it is an excellent way to monetize what you have passion around, and it can be an additional income stream that is quite lucrative. So in the upcoming episodes, we will be talking all about what it is to be a success in podcasting, how to avoid some costly mistakes. Listen, I've made a few that I can save you the pain in experiencing yourself. We'll talk about how to launch quickly. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see people make, is taking too long to launch your show. Again, showing up and getting started is the hardest part. So we are all about launching quickly. That's what I teach you how to do in my pod launch program. And then in the podcasting series, we will also be talking about those monetization strategies that actually work. So the ways that you can build in that new income stream just by starting a podcast. So I'm going to walk you through all of those concepts that will take you from ideas to implementation, my specialty. So first up, podcasting success. Let's just talk about that a little bit, because here's the other thing I've noticed. We measure success in numbers. It's always numbers. When we're measuring the success of our career, it's how much of it, what salary have you earned? How have you increased your salary over the years? When you're on a weight loss journey, how do you measure that success? It's always numbers on the scale. And, one of the things that I learned in the Faster Way to Fat Loss program that I participated in a few years back was they always focused on two different things: progress over perfection. So are you making progress each day? That's the goal. It's not about being perfect. It's not about just the number on the scale. So the other thing that they talked about was non-scale victories. And so I love when we can focus on, how much healthier are you feeling in your body? How are your clothes fitting? How much easier is it to get up off the floor? These are all victories in and of themselves that aren't necessarily tied to a number on the scale. And listen, my favorite thing to hate is how do we celebrate a successful marriage? It's always in the number of years. You reach your 20 year, your 30 year, these big long time frames that we've spent married to people. And everyone wants to commend you for being married for so long. And what's the secret? And the thing about it is, just because you've been married for 25 years doesn't mean that you are happily married. It doesn't mean that you are growing together necessarily. So I would love, love, love for us to start celebrating successful marriages in a new way, not just about the number of years you've been married. And, it ties back to this idea of success in general. So I would love for us to start asking some different questions, like, how many people did you have a positive impact on today? So it's about the impact we're having. It's about how many people we're connecting with. How many times did you laugh today? I love to ask my kids that question. it shifts our focus from what did you do? What have you accomplished to how happy are you? How content are you feeling? Or how about how many opportunities did you have to deeply connect with other human beings today? I believe that if we were to start asking ourselves different questions around how we measure success, we would feel, one, more successful, and two, we would feel happier and more content with what we have. So back to the podcasting series. Listen, if we were to address one of the biggest pain points was how to avoid costly mistakes. The thing I see most people do when they want to start a podcast is they pause, they hesitate, they wait because they think they need the perfect equipment. They think they need the perfect microphone and noise canceling headphones. And the truth of the matter is you can start a podcast with your phone. You don't need fancy equipment. And so we'll talk about that specifically in those upcoming episodes. The other thing is you do not need a soundproof studio. You don't need to perfect the space that you're recording in. You need a quiet space, and that can be done really easily with what you have. And the other last kind of costly mistake I see a lot of people making is over-engineering their show with unnecessary software solutions. Listen, the minute you say that you want to start a podcast, you will have services and people coming out of the woodwork to help you and charge you to help you with your podcast. And here's the thing. It's not necessary, and you can get started very low budget and grow as your show evolves. It's interesting. The more that you are podcasting, the more you will hone in on what is important to you, what is important to your audience, and what's not. And so a lot of these solutions that are out there are not necessarily a good fit for everyone. So we will talk about all those different costly mistakes and how to avoid them. And then my biggest suggestion for success is how to launch quickly. So this is the crux of my pod launch program, where I have walked people through how to launch a podcast in less than 30 days. It's an aggressive time frame. It doesn't have to go that fast, but it can. And that's the key thing that I convey in that program. Over the course of 4 weeks, you will learn the foundation and the basics of what it is to start a podcast. I will break down the technology that is needed and that is not needed and simplify how you get started. Because here's what I've learned in my 3 years of podcasting. You learn more in the doing of the show than you ever do in the planning of the show. So yes, I can give you a quick and dirty plan. I actually break that out and give you content strategy behind starting your show. But once you start recording, once you start editing, once you start sharing your episodes, you will learn so much more about why you're starting the show, who you're talking to, and how to make the biggest impact. And that's really ultimately what matters. And then, of course, I've already touched on the whole idea of monetizing your show. The thing is, starting a podcast, continuing and maintaining a podcast takes a lot of time and energy, and it is a labor of love. So why not make some money while you're at it? Now, listen, everybody thinks sponsorships are the only way to monetize your podcast, and that is the most common way and can be very lucrative. But the thing about sponsorships is you have to grow your listenership to a certain point before you can start charging for sponsorships. There are some surprising ways to monetize that feel authentic. And here's my favorite part. You don't have to be an entrepreneur in order to monetize your show. You don't have to own your own business, sell your own products and services. And we will talk about all those different strategies in those upcoming episodes. So every month moving forward, I am going to bring you an overview episode for the month, like this one. We will deep dive into those micro lessons because, listen, we are busy and we want to learn a little tidbit and move on with our day. And then I will also bring you some real world conversations with my clients who are putting all of this into action. I am so excited to introduce you to the first couple of guests that I have in this upcoming episodes. We have a dynamic real estate duo. They combined their faith and their love of real estate into a powerhouse podcast. And I'm so excited for you guys to meet them. And then I will also introduce you to a doula who is on a mission to educate and advocate for moms. And then lastly, I will also bring you a women's empowerment guru. She is on a mission to form a much needed community, and she's doing it in a different way than most people are. So be sure to subscribe to the podcast, Empowered Endeavors, so you can follow along on this journey with me for the newly focused podcast. And listen, if you are ready to launch your podcast with confidence, be sure to download my ultimate toolkit for beginners. You can get that on my website at shaunalee.com/podlaunchtoolkit. It's everything you need to get your podcast started in a simple download, and will also be included in the description and the show notes below. I would love to hear from you, so you can always send me a DM on Instagram at Simply Shaunna Lee. I can also forward you the link to the podcast toolkit. But remember, your voice matters, your story matters, and the world needs to hear it. So let's build something extraordinary together. Until next time.